You are listening to the NASP Podcast. The Specialty Pharmacy Podcast is a collaboration with the National Association of Specialty Pharmacy, the NASP, and the Pharmacy Podcast Network. The mission of the National Association of Specialty Pharmacy is to improve specialty pharmacy practice by promoting continuing professional education and certification of specialty pharmacists while advocating for public policies that ensure patient access to specialty medications. As the healthcare industry's leading podcast dedicated to the pharmacy profession, the Pharmacy Podcast Network is proud to bring our listeners the NASP Podcast in partnership with the National Association of Specialty Pharmacy.
Welcome to the National Association of Specialty Pharmacy 2018 annual event in Washington, D.C. Specialty pharmacy is a dynamic industry. We are excited to be part of this. The Pharmacy Podcast Network is dedicated to all aspects of the pharmacy industry, and NASP is the leading association dedicated to specialty pharmacy. Patients remain at the center of everything about specialty pharmacy, and NASP's annual meeting and education conference is a time to invest in ourselves as professionals, develop our expertise, and build a foundation for the coming year. Stay tuned and be ready for several interviews regarding the NASP event here in Washington, D.C. and participate by using hashtag NASP Annual. Once again, that's hashtag NASP Annual. You will hear from us soon. We are here at NASP 2018, the National Conference in Washington, D.C., one of the major sponsors, not only for NASP and the commitment to specialty pharmacy, but also a sponsor of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, Louise Rodriguez with the Keycentrics team. Welcome back. How have you been?
Good.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, but certainly a fun set of months for us.
It is.
Yeah.
You guys have gone through a tremendous brand reconstruction. I absolutely love it. Your booth looks amazing.
Awesome, thank you.
There's a lot of meaningfulness in it, but that's the surface. I want to talk about specialty pharmacy and the importance of delivering technology and platforms to our service providers that make business sense, and why you taking the helm of the Keycentrics team and company and brand, why that's meant so much to you.
Well, having been at Key as their CTO for some time, we, and doing some study of the industry, I had originally targeted a number of things to start coming together in our platforms, primarily because we felt like there is a combination of interesting spots that are underserved, right, in pharmacy, specialty pharmacy specifically. So we started doing that work, better part of about a year ago. Okay. And here 5 months ago, we went through a transformation, and I stepped into the president's role and decided that we needed our brand to represent that transformation that was undergoing that you wouldn't see unless you looked under the covers.
Right.
And we did that. So what that means is, sure, we got a great logo, or at least I think it's great, and we got a good booth, but our application has jumped an order of magnitude in its ability to address the needs of a specialty pharmacy. And with strategic partners, I think we get really well at being a cost-effective solution for 80% of the industry. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say that we are the best hands down. I think that's, if any vendor's telling you that, that's horse crap.
I agree.
So no, we're not going to be perfect for everybody, but I do think that we can be very, very good for a lot of folks and perfect for a few. And I'm hoping that we can put that message out there efficiently.
Well, another thing, listeners, if you don't know, at Keycentrics or keycentrics.com, you'll notice that you started in the roots of the organization in community pharmacy, you evolved to senior care pharmacy, and then you naturally evolved as the industry did to specialty pharmacy. However, now that you're playing in this specialty pharmacy field, you've really become a purposeful supplier of specifically the specialty pharmacy marketplace, the disease state management, the reporting, everything that goes into making a specialty pharmacy
patient
special.
engagement, yeah.
Patient engagement. So elaborate a little bit on that. What's the platform doing to differentiate it from other facets of pharmacy? You're not, when you look at your system in the specialty realm, it's specific to specialty. So let's talk about that.
Well, that's the interesting thing, right? Because I think what we were able to do with New Leaf was bring what we learned and did very well in retail and mail order, and apply it to specialty. And what that means is we kind of look at it from a perspective of the independent pharmacy and the specialty pharmacy is the future of non-chain pharmacy,
Yes.
right? And we think that most organizations are actually going to jump into specialty, and it'd be more like not a pure specialty, but more like a specialty at whatever service model they have. So specialty at retail, specialty in health systems, specialty in centralized services. And so we purposefully engineered New Leaf to represent all the capabilities inside of all of those service models to a certain degree. So if you're an institution that is deploying a specialty pharmacy and it's pure specialty, we're going to be a great fit. If you're an institution who makes a living off retail and is expanding and growing and looking to find theoretically better margin in specialty, we're going to be even better for you, right? And that's our differentiator. You can come in here and you can recognize how our system's workflow and multi-unit orders and facility management and all those things that we do, the cycle fill management, the med syncing, the patient engagement through texting and prescriber engaging through automated deliveries. All those things play a role to where, okay, I do a little bit of dispensing of amoxicillin, but I also do Harvoni, and I can harmonize my procedures between those two distinct service models and be profitable at the end of the day.
Hey, so part of the reason from my inside outside looking inside to Keycentrics, because near and dear to my heart, I was part of the team at one time.
They tell me about that before me, at least. Yeah.
So is the fact that Keycentrics went out and found a champion customer to help them build out New Leaf and the specialty platform. How's that relationship grown beyond where it was in the beginning?
Sure. In reality is we have probably, if I'm honest, 6 or 7 clients that have really helped us fill in gaps, because what we've learned, when we started, we thought specialty was one thing, and every time we put a customer on it, we learn that there's a little something extra. And just like they learn every time they go get a drug contract that there's a little something extra that they weren't doing before. So what we've been able to do with those relationships and those notable relationships that we have is actually engineer with flexibility in mind. And so what you're seeing now is a platform that is not just now jumping into specialty and trying to make a name for it. It isn't a rewrite of a system that was never specialty with a new color and face to it. It was from the get-go planning to be specialty and helping people migrate their business models to it. And we just have in our mindset that going forward, we're going to have to be flexible. There are people that are going to come to us that are going to bring a new aspect of specialty that my system hasn't considered. And so we are prepared for that as an institution, and New Leaf reflects that discipline.
Shift gears, let's talk about NASP. Why are you guys involved in this organization? There's so many organizations in the space of pharmacy, so many conferences you could spend money on. Why are you here? Why are you investing? Why are you a major sponsor here?
Todd, can I be controversial?
Yeah.
Is that allowed?
Of course. We like controversy on podcasts.
Okay, well, everybody, I'm going to be controversial. My perspective is, and I think NASP recognized this by forming, right, is that we can't let anyone like me or like a PBM or like a bigger organization come in and dictate what specialty means and shift it towards what is advantageous to them. And so you need a voice that is made up of membership and reflects the principles of our way of life here, right? To normalize the specialty pharmacy's voice and make it to where people like me are actually servicing the industry for the betterment of your patient. Because if we allow institutions and if we let them be the voice for specialty, where does that go? Do they focus on everything that you're going to focus on, or are they going to focus on what makes sense for them? Now, I'm not accusing them of being dishonest, don't get me wrong, but it's natural or more critical for establishing that voice and that advocacy for the pharmacy, not only in the industry, but in policy, in governance, and in patient care.
A wider stance where everyone can play rather than just specific players.
Correct.
And when you bring that to the table, you can still be competitors in the sandbox, but you're bringing every facet of that mind share and of that design, of that workflow, and of sharing. And I think there's a growth opportunity in that sandbox versus only allowing certain members to play in the sandbox.
Right, and it should be clear. I suggest that it would be controversial to say this because it's easy to read what I'm saying and hear. I think they're being anti-friendly about things, and I don't think that, but I think there's a natural conflict of interest, and so it's a good example of they have a natural conflict of interest, and we should look to establish a voice within NASP where there mitigates that conflict of interest, right?
So there's buying groups, there's GPOs, there's
more than
technology providers.
There's all kinds of in this scenario, we're a big sponsor, right? But that's only because we came here and fitted our sponsorship inside their sponsorship model, right? We don't own this particular meeting. We don't own what goes on to it. We have no say in it. But we can still support it and be a champion for the industry. And that's a better model for people who service the industry like us to support rather than trying to establish that community but within my user base. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, there's MHA shows, Innovatic shows, obviously Assembia shows.
And they can go to those. Those are great shows for their membership.
Right.
But we should be careful about making sure that specialty as an industry is represented by folks like NASP.
NASP. Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just like NCPA and just like ASCP.
Precisely. Yeah.
Because they all have, but they're representing the basics, not basics. NCPA represents the community pharmacy. Doesn't matter if QS1's there or AmerisourceBergen or Cardinal Health. It's all about community pharmacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know exactly what
Absolutely.
you're saying.
You're right on.
So, what's the future hold? Just give us anything that you think is kind of, I guess, sexy to talk about with regards to the world of Keycentrics. What's happening next? Are you guys concentrating on mobile? You got artificial intelligence coming in?
We do. Well, you hit the nail on the head with AI, artificial intelligence. Without getting ahead of myself, we've got some pretty big projects set aside that are intended to increase that high-touch engagement that specialty pharmacies are known for, that white glove element, but try to make it more achievable by automation and intelligence. So we are developing a certain collection of neural nets with the help of the IBM Watson Healthcare AI engine.
Okay.
And what we intend to come out of that are some neat add-ons to our core application that will, and even standalone, but mostly to our core application that will allow you to, in a good example would be to AI what a diabetes educator would do and their role in making sure that adherence and outcomes turn out right down the road. So if you're a health system, that'll speak to you really broadly because diabetes can be a complication of the specialty medication that you're administering. And so you need to look at a holistic patient care approach. So by using that example, we're suggesting that our application can drive interactivity with context and awareness, right? Think of it like, instead of a broad and ugly WebMD that scares you to death and every symptom's the same, you got a stomach ache, you got blurry vision, then you must be having deep vein thrombosis.
Put some tussin on it.
Right? Instead of that, right, we are giving relative coaching to the patient without you having to drive it.
Okay.
Your clinicians can structure it, but you don't have to drive it. And the AI keeps that in a place where it's viable.
That's really cool.
So we're excited about it. I think it'll make sense when you see it.
Yes.
But that's coming up, and that's probably, to use your word, probably the sexiest thing on the horizon.
Yeah.
Well, we have a number of things that we're excited about.
All right. Well, Louise, thank you so much for being part of the post NASP annual conference. You'll be hearing more from Louise and his team at Keycentrics. But we appreciate what you do, not only for the NASP, but also Pharmacy Podcast and your vision in place in healthcare. So
happy to do it. Thank you. All right.
Hey, we're here at the NASP 2018, and I got a special guest for everyone with biologics, Paula Bickley. So tell me a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into the pharmacy space? And tell me about your role with biologics.
It's funny, Todd. I have been in healthcare most of my professional career. I used to say with confidence and energy that I didn't want to work in a specialty pharmacy, and I didn't want to work in Cary, North Carolina. And what's funny is I am working for a specialty pharmacy located in Cary, North Carolina. It's an amazing time in specialty pharmacy. It's certainly an amazing time at biologics. We were acquired by McKesson Specialty Health a couple of years ago, and that's been a great partnership. Biologics is in its 26th year. We have always focused on oncology. We have been there at the explosion of new targeted treatments and just grew as the therapeutic alternatives in cancer care grew. And it is my favorite job ever, if I must say.
One of the hot keywords in specialty pharmacy right now is patient-centric solutions or patient centricity. What's that mean to you?
Yeah, so this is I would love to see this conversation take hold. I'd love for this conversation to displace all the conversation about cost. We know and can quantitatively show and validate that if a healthcare provider and the whole healthcare space is ready to do the exact right thing for the patient, get the right drug at the right time to the right patient, everybody benefits. Even the payers that are, really the arbiters of price and utilization management and risk management, everybody benefits. So to us, it means if you do the right thing for the patient, everything else falls into place. And there's a lot of detail behind that. Right drug, right patient, right time, right support, those are all very intricate healthcare services, and we focus at that on biologics as our core mission.
From the time the patient meets with the physician, something's up, they're not sure what's happening, they obviously are worried, the physician gives them the news. How fast is biologics embracing that patient and running with the new therapy?
From diagnosis to clinical endpoint, cancer treatment is a long journey. And patients, our data suggests that a patient can see 17 unique providers in 2 years of cancer care treatment. And in between, there's a lot of great work being done at each one of those individual, unique healthcare points. It's the travel from one to the other. It's the progression of the patient's treatment journey from one place to the next, where a lot of the potential for waste, the potential for inappropriate care or insufficient, I guess I should say, care coordination, it can really happen. So we do, from the moment a patient is prescribed an oral cancer treatment, we put a multidisciplinary team around that patient to help them access the treatment, meaning to really compress the time from the doctor's order to the moment they have the drug in hand. We also help them afford that afford that therapy. We have benefits and access specialists who do nothing but look for financial grants or to try to push through the prior authorization barriers. So we want to help them access the treatment, we want to help them afford the treatment, and we want to help them have a successful outcome on the treatment. I mean, our job is to keep the patient on therapy as long as they're benefiting clinically. So we say our job is really to cover the financial, emotional, and clinical needs of a patient who's been prescribed an oral cancer treatment.
McKesson, as a healthcare champion for many years and has gobbled up other entities and piecing together what is the wide stance of McKesson's services in healthcare, and my sweet spot obviously being pharmacy. I've worked with the technology division, some amazing champions there that put their whole life's work into pharmacy technology. How does technology play into the world of biologics?
It's essential. I mean, it runs our dispensing platform. It is the way we communicate with patients. It is the way we coordinate care. It is the way that we exchange information efficiently between physicians, the prescribers, our patients, our plan, our company. And we're hampered and hamstrung by it a bit. There is no real true interoperability in healthcare today. But I think we're on the cusp, and McKesson is right there. I mean, just pushing the envelope. There's some exciting things that I see McKesson doing that I think are going to revolutionize the real efficient communication, effective communication, patient-centered care coordination. We're right on the cusp. We're right on the cusp. So we've got a ways to go. But
I'm excited about biologics because I want to have you guys back on the larger show, and the NASP has been part of our network now for about 2.5 years. I enjoy the intelligence and the camaraderie and the subject matter expertise that I get here in my annual dose of specialty pharmacy. From your perspective, why is it important to be part of some people say NASP, some people say NASP. I happen to say NASP.
Yeah, I'm still learning. Yeah, this is my first rodeo at the annual conference. I will say McKesson was there at the beginning. Biologics became an official corporate member this year. I think it's probably one of the most important decisions we made. I think outside of our space, and specialty pharmacy knows what it is and knows that it is a healthcare provider, just like the physicians and other clinicians that refer patients to us. We are a specialized healthcare provider. And to join a group like NASP, the association, knowing that we are advocating for just more understanding and visibility of specialty pharmacy as a healthcare provider space, that we are advocating for laws at the federal and state level that are going to increase access for patients to the care they need, that are going to make the care they need more affordable. I'm just proud to be a part of it. I'm proud to support it. And I think at the end of the day, we just need to advocate for the specialized care we provide patients. I think outside of our industry, a lot of people see us as just a stick it, lick it, ship it. And that is so far from the truth as to what a specialty pharmacy can do for
Absolutely.
Complex diseases.
Paula, thank you so much for participating in the NASP Podcast 2018 Annual Conference, and we can't wait to have you back.
Todd, thank you so much. Happy
Thank
to be
you.
here. Bye-bye.
Okay, we are here at NASP 2018 in Washington, D.C. with a long overdue return to the Pharmacy Podcast Network, Mr. Harry Travis. How have you been, Harry?
I'm fine. How are you, Todd? Thanks for the invitation.
You're very welcome. You know, I've wanted you back. You're running 80 miles an hour in one direction. I'm 92 miles an hour in the other direction, and it's hard to catch up with you. But tell me what's been going on in your life.
So I'm running eTech RX. We are developing a digital pill, a microchip embedded in a hard gelatin capsule for real-time medication adherence confirmation. And we are very close to filing our 510K with the FDA and hope to have a product on the market sometime in 2019 for real-time per-dose medication adherence confirmation.
That's incredible. Which disease state would be like the go-to for that application and that delivery of medication?
Well, there could be many disease states where there's a very high cost of drug, where it's in everybody's interest to make sure that the adherence is as high as possible. So a lot of specialty medications, oncology, hepatitis, HIV. Also, any disease state where the consequence of non-adherence results in a bad outcome fairly short term. So think transplant patients or atrial fib. You know, what's the cost of a stroke if somebody doesn't take their blood thinners? Those are two examples.
Okay. So talk to me about the overarching world of specialty pharmacy right now. I've always looked to you as kind of that subject matter expert that can give me a summary. And at the NASP, what a better time to do this. But just give us kind of that state of the nation address of where you think we are right now.
I would say there is an awful lot of consolidation obviously going on with Aetna CVS, with ESI Cigna. But in that, there remains, as there always has, an opportunity for independent specialty pharmacies to innovate, provide interesting, unique service models for patients, providers, payers, and pharmaceutical manufacturers for their drugs. So it's always challenging times for independent specialty pharmacies in the market. This is no different than any other, but I still think that there's plenty of opportunities as a result of all of the kind of the macro changes that are going on. There's still patients that need to be serviced. Pharmaceutical manufacturers need to have high quality programs for their drugs, and a lot of independent pharmacies can do that, turn on those programs much faster than the big guys.
I want to give a shout out to Panther RX, who just got Specialty Pharmacy of the Year. Have you ever worked with the Panther team?
No, but I'm a fan of theirs since I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh School of Pharmacy.
Right.
So go Pitt.
That's right.
And they are a great organization.
So what is the next step in PBM reform and DIR fees? And I know that many specialty pharmacy providers worry about that. So what's the next steps from an association perspective to kind of put our voices together to refine and show? Because I think there's some value in PBMs. You can't just chuck them and say, that's it, we're done. But what's your whole thought of that whole subject?
Well, I can't say that I'm an expert on the high-level advocacy issues that are going on and reimbursement issues. I've stayed in the last couple of years so focused on medication adherence. But I do believe the underlying principles of independent specialty pharmacies, either community-based, regionally based, or nationally based, focusing on the patient, focusing on the provider, that they need a voice to kind of get that message out, that there is room for a focused customer service model that can be delivered by these organizations, and don't let the kind of the macro payment policies crush these guys. And I think NASP is doing a great job of advocating on their behalf, and obviously people are listening, and many of the sessions here at this meeting highlight that and highlight the success that they've had.
Yes. Something you and I have talked about before that I'd like to follow up with is the history of what is specialty pharmacy, where we were, where we are today, and where we're going, because I think it's going to continue to evolve and improve. And as I've said before on many of the interviews that I've done, I think we're not going to say specialty someday. I think it's just going to be pharmacy. I think that pharmacy will evolve, and I think pharmacy will become more concierge-driven and more consultancy-driven and more specialized. But I think that as of today, it's going to be specialty pharmacy that's going to lead that change.
I think you're right. I think specialty pharmacy, as it grows, as the number of products grow, will evolve into a continuum. There will always be an extreme end of specialty pharmacy with orphan drugs or very high-cost drugs, niche drugs, and that's going to be an interesting place for all sorts of innovation as more personalized therapy comes down the line. So you'll see drugs and therapies that once were very specialized, multiple sclerosis, RA, which now are becoming mainline, being replaced by personalized therapy, genetic therapies, and things like that. And the specialty pharmacy model is ideally suited to evolve to support those. It might not be ready today, but the fundamentals of the service model in the specialty pharmacies can support the beginnings of the service model for some of these really advanced therapies.
Yes. You and I attended the Artificial Intelligence in Specialty Pharmacy session with Dr. Emmanuel Fombu, who was I just enjoyed listening to him. And then we had some similar questions. And when I think of eTech-RX and I think of that capsule disintegrating in my stomach, being activated by my stomach acid, and then telling the physician or the pharmacist or both that I've ingested and it's taking place, and then I back that into the world of artificial intelligence, it kind of makes me excited of what could happen next. What do you think of that next level of where eTech-RX could go with artificial intelligence?
Well, we will provide the kind of the raw material, the information of medication adherence that then can be matched with lots of other data, be it demographic data, other drugs, biometric data off of the patient. So we will be an input to a much more evolved data set around outcomes, hopefully improving outcomes, no doubt about it.
That's exciting. Well, NASP's done it again. This is their, 6th or 7th annual event. We'll definitely be back for 2019. But what about NASP? What do you see needing to happen from an association level to really keep us all in the same sandbox, working together, collaboration, but advocacy for what is specialty pharmacy?
Well, like any organization, stay close to your members. And it certainly seems from the chatter here and the talk that people are plugged in, informed. The leadership of the organization is great. And, address the major issues, which I think are advocacy from a payment standpoint, as well as education to the pharmacists. It seems that those two principles are working real well for NASP.
Absolutely. Harry, we always like you coming on the network. Want to have you back. I definitely want to develop a show with you someday.
I'd love to do it sometime.
When you're not as busy. But thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Hey, in closing out the NASP podcast review of the 2018 annual event, let's hear from the one and only Sheila Arquette.
Wow, what an incredible 3 days we have had. This is Sheila Arquette, NASP's Executive Director. I want to thank each of you for your engagement and active participation in NASP's 6th Annual Meeting and Educational Conference. When over 1,000 of the industry's best and brightest come together to elevate the practice of specialty pharmacy through education and idea sharing with the patient at the center, how can the result be anything less than incredibly impactful? Your attendance and participation demonstrates your commitment to specialty pharmacy, service excellence, and patient care. As we look to 2019 and all the opportunities and challenges that our industry faces, NASP will continue to focus on education and certification, but expand our offerings to an increased number of specialty pharmacy stakeholders, including pharmacy technicians, pharmaceutical account management team members, and technology providers. We will continue to advocate on behalf of specialty pharmacy and the patients NASP members collectively serve here in the nation's capital, but amplify our collective voice by increased engagement of NASP members through grassroots opportunities back home designed to influence and facilitate change. We will continue to foster member connectivity and best-in-class practice sharing, creating additional networking opportunities and programs so members can better appreciate the positive impact each stakeholder has on the patient care journey. And through all of this, you have my commitment to always act with your very best interest at heart, to continue to act with the highest degree of integrity and fiscal responsibility, to always be accountable, and to keep you informed and engaged every step of the way. Please mark your calendars now for the 2019 NASP Annual Meeting, September 9th through the 11th, right back here at the Washington Marriott Wardman Park. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me at any time with your questions, concerns, or suggestions. Your feedback is always welcome and very much appreciated, and key to ensuring NASP is meeting your needs and expectations. Thank you again. Team NASP looks forward to continuing to work with you and on your behalf.
Hey, that concludes the NASP 2018 annual event. I want to give a shout out to everyone who attended. The NASP staff led by Executive Director Sheila Arquette. A special shout out to Platinum sponsors Amber Pharmacy and Keycentrics. Silver sponsors AstraZeneca, US Bioservices, Genentech, and Walgreens. Thank you so much for helping to make the NASP 2018 a successful event. Please join us NASP 2019 in Washington, D.C. If you're listening to the show and would like to participate on the NASP podcast, please reach out to the team. Also, make sure you listen to the rest of the Pharmacy Podcast Network's publications. We have 24 stations as part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. You can find all of the channels. Go ahead and Google SoundCloud Pharmacy Podcast. You'll find a link there that will take you to all 24 stations. And as always, we thank our listeners for your support. And we also thank the NASP for allowing us to be a part of this incredible organization. We'll talk to you soon.